All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. I am excited today. We have some substance in these topics to go over. I love it. I am genuinely excited to discuss this particular set of issues that I'm going to bring up, all right? So here's what we're going to talk about today, all right? We're going to talk about the Max Rohskopf corner thing again, and not the situation. I already made very clear how I felt about it, but more about the people who have weighed in on this and what their opinions are and why their opinions matter or don't matter, all right? And there are some meaningful names in here. Like, I'm not just kind of throwing people around. You've got Ariel, you've got, I mean, that sounded as if I was, there are people that really matter, like Ariel, okay? Like, yeah, Ariel matters because he has a lot of visibility. That wasn't, if I should have kind of reversed the names I was going to say, because I was going to say Anthony Smith, who just had a corner thing of his own, Brendan Schaub, Chael Sonnen. You like that? People broke my balls enough because I was calling him Chael Sonnen. I apologize. Jeez. It's not like I was doing that on purpose just to break his balls and try to bait him into commenting. Brendan Schaub, Joe Rogan, Joe Schilling, all fighters or guys who have fought in one form or another, all guys who weighed in on this. And Anthony Smith is the only one of the fighters who said that Drysdale did something wrong. And I want to talk about that because that is very, very interesting. And I'll break that down for you because I'll tell you exactly why that's happening. I want to talk about Chael saying that Masvidal needs to defend the BMF belt. I also want to talk about Brendan Schaub talking about Joe Silva because it really gave a glimpse into his experience dealing with the UFC when he was a fighter. Now, obviously, I'm not going to attribute this one story to the experience of all UFC fighters, but Brendan is a sharp guy whose opinion I respect, and he experiences. I have no doubt that he's telling the truth in his story, so it's at least worth noting. I mean, I find myself, I just can't help it. I default to relate with the business owner because I've gone through that where people are constantly pounding you about money or what you're doing. And on the other side, you're like, these people don't get it. Like they don't get it. Everybody thinks that you're trying to get over on them when it's just not the case. It just is what it is. And anyway, but this is Brendan's experience. Not the best. Not the best. We'll talk about it. And then I want to talk about this picture of Conor McGregor that's floating around because, I don't know, man. I don't like the look of that picture. I mean, again, I'm not going to attribute any assumptions to the picture. I'm just going to say this one picture, which I'll post. I don't know. I don't like the look of it. But I could be completely reading into it. I mean, anyway, it's neither here nor there. I love Conor. Everybody knows that. But I don't love that picture. All right, so let's talk about the Max Rohskopf corner thing and everybody's opinion. More importantly, everybody's opinion, right? So across the board, you basically have universal agreement. People who have ever fought, okay? People who have ever actually fought, all universally agree, except with one exception, that the cornerman did nothing wrong, okay? Did nothing wrong at all, right? And they actually are saying that, like Brendan Schaub, Chael, Joe Schilling, all these guys said that they've had situations in their career where they needed their coach to do exactly that. Where like, this is not only did he do nothing wrong, it's like what I said. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's a coach. He's a coach. And you know what else? You know what else we found out? Max Rohskopf had lived with his coach for the last 2 years, okay? Like, this is not just some rando fighter that, and here's the other thing. Okay, actually, let me finish that. It's not just some random fighter, okay? He's been living with him and training with him for 2 years, okay? That is a big factor that somehow all of these, simple-minded people who are saying he did something wrong are just incapable of evaluating, right? Because, well, no, everything is black and white. Like, everything is black and white. There's no gray. There's no nuance. It's the most obnoxious thing ever, this now day and age. It's amazing. It's like, okay, do you not understand that the relationship between a coach and a fighter matters in this conversation? Okay, unless you're some, I don't know, baby that wants to project a bunch of virtue on it. And it's like, if a fighter says he's done, that means he's done. This is giving a bad name to mixed martial arts. That was somehow my imitation of Ariel, because that's kind of what he was saying, but that's obviously not imitating him, because this is how I would sound if I was going to imitate him. You know, I just think that this is, God, I'm not doing a very good job of that. I'm going to cut it off before I embarrass myself, but I should be able to do Ariel. He's not a hard guy to mimic, right? Here he is, okay? I think that this is the kind of thing that gives mixed martial arts a bad name. And damn it, I'm blowing that. But that's what he said, right? He said that this is what gives mixed martial arts a bad name, okay? Because it makes it look like it's a blood sport. Now, I saw this panel that was him, Chael, and some dude from ESPN who, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I don't know. I mean, as I was saying this, I was going to say for sure he's not a fighter. And as I said that, I realized I do not know that for sure. However, I'm going to go out on a limb and just say he probably was not a fighter based on how he was talking about it, right? And so you have Ariel Harwani, who, let me actually, before I even do this, let me preface this, okay? If anybody is looking at Ariel and wondering, like, how is this dude the main like narrator or the main go-to, or how does he have his position in mixed martial arts, right? He's not a fighter. He's, he's not me on camera. It's not a self-aggrandizing way to do this at all. He's not me, right? On his best day and my worst day, I would crush him in charisma, cleverness, and just overall watchability, right? Right, guys? My dick's about 14 inches. This is like 3. I apologize, okay? I apologize. But, all of those things are basically true, except that my dick is 12 inches, not 14. 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, what? Anyway, but, the point I'm making here is that Ariel, maybe whatever to you guys, here's why Ariel is where he is. He grinded, dude. Ariel worked his balls off, okay? And I mean, listen, that's why you're never going to hear me throw stones at Ariel being where he is, just period, right? Because, I mean, listen, like I was kind of joking before, but I don't think I need to hide the fact that I would say I believe that my on-screen presence, overall knowledge, probably a lot better than his. But it's not my position to have because he earned it. Grinding, dude. Grinding. The guy's been doing it for like 10, 11, 12 years. And, dude, I was watching a clip from some super small show like 10 years ago. I can't remember who it was. Ariel's there. Like, on his own dime, no doubt. Went to the show. He's there interviewing people after the show. Like, he recognized, and full disclosure, I've spoken to Ariel at length, actually, like, through email. This is irrelevant. But he and I have talked on a personal level multiple times, all right? And, he basically just recognized that there was a gap in the market. Simple as that. He's like, there's no one like really covering this sport. So he put himself in there and figured out that if you recognize a gap, you don't even need to be Jesse on fire to make yourself into a hot career guy. You just need to work really hard and make the contacts, right? Okay, so that was a whole preface about yay, Ariel, before I say you are not a fighter and you're embarrassing yourself with that comment, okay? Embarrassing yourself. This is what makes the sport look like a blood sport. I spoke to the Nevada Athletic Commission. This motherfucker probably actually so Nevada State Athletic Commission now is doing an investigation. Why do you think that is? Ariel called him. He literally said online, he's like, yeah, I spoke to the Nevada State Athletic Commission. He stirred that up. He created that situation. There's an investigation because Ariel called them and said, what do you guys think about this terrible tragedy that happened? That this guy tried to encourage his fighter into continuing to fight after his fighter said, I don't know if I want to go in there. He said he didn't want to go in, actually, outright. And then the coach asked him if he was sure. He asked him if he was sure. Can you believe that? He's putting lives in danger. I mean, geez. That's a little bit better impression. The other guy on ESPN, when it was Chael, Ariel, and the dude, he said the same thing. He was like, yeah, this is I gotta agree. This is the kind of thing that gives the sport a bad name. What are you talking about? What are you talking about. It's a fight, okay? It's a fight. And even more so, it's a sport, okay? Like, you're the one who's turning it into a blood sport, actually, okay? So 2 things on that. So let's say that there's a football player, okay? And he plays middle linebacker, right? Now, he got the wind knocked out of him, and he has a sprained knee, and he's hurt right now. But they're in a very important game because every fight is basically equivalent to the Super Bowl, right? For each fighter. And they need him. And so he's on the sideline. He's like, man, coach, I don't know if I can go in. I don't know if I can go in. And the coach is like, come on, man. It's the Super Bowl. Get in there. Like, we need you, pal. Let's go, man. We're going to lose this game without you. Are you sure that you can't come? And he's like, dude, my knee is killing me. Listen, I hear you on the knee, but we need you. And then the 3rd, 4th, 5th time, he's like, no, I really can't go in. Same situation, okay? If he goes in, he's playing a contact sport when he's injured, right? Would you fault the coach for saying, are you sure you can't go in? Like, are you sure you're injured and not hurt? Like, it's ridiculous. Here's the bigger problem for me. The bigger problem for me is this. Why is everyone acting like Max Rohskopf can't make decisions for himself? Like, he's a man. He's a grown man, right? And so, like you guys are so weak-minded that you're like, well, geez, if I was in the corner and my coach asked me to go back in, there's just no way I'd be able to say no. I'd have to go in and get my face beat in, okay? That's why every fighter or everybody who's wired like me, meaning that you have balls, okay? Confidence in yourself, confidence in your ability to stand firm when you need to. Do I look like the kind of guy where if I was, sure that I didn't want to go in, that a coach being like, listen, are you sure you want to take the loss? I'd be like, you're right. Boo. I'll go in then. Okay? Because I'm not faulting Max for not going in. Again, what I saw a guy who was 100% exhausted and knew for sure he couldn't win, which is why he didn't go in, because he was going to get beat up, right? I don't fault him for that. And I bet you, most people who have called him a quitter and been talking shit, actually, some of them have never been in a fight, number one. Probably a lot of them actually weren't very high-level athletes, okay? So, but let's go back to the fight thing. You don't know what it feels like to get punched in the face, okay? And if you're so tired that you know for sure that, you took the fight on 5 days' notice, you know for sure that your output in that fight is not, or your defense output, whatever, is not going to be enough to stop you from getting unencumbered, smashed in the face over and over by a friend. Okay. Again, if you've never been punched in the face, basically your opinion on a lot of things relating to this sport is basically null and void, all right? Because calling him a quitter when you've never gotten in the octagon, do I need to say it? Okay? Do I need to say it? A professional fighter who fought another professional fighter, and on 5 days' notice, and then after the second round, after getting the shit beat out of him so badly that he had taken on the same amount of damage in the final 90 seconds as he had in his entire career, including sparring his entire life. So, you're in a position to call him a pussy for not going in? Have you ever even sparred? Have you ever had any kind of physical altercation with a person? Or you just like to call people quitter? Pussies. Don't call him a quitter. But anyway, my biggest problem, like I'm saying, is the idea that he can't make a decision for himself because the coach tries to talk him up. He's a grown man. It's the whole problem with society right now. It's like, oh, geez, listen, we can't have that speaker come to the college. We can't have those ideas floating around the campus. It's like, if the ideas are so stupid and so dangerous, you don't trust these kids at Harvard to be able to decipher that and figure out that these are not good ideas? If they're supposedly such bad ideas, why do you need to handle the kids with fucking baby gloves? Aren't they adults, right? Oh, Yale. The kids want you to make rules about what Halloween costumes you can wear because they're not adults. They can't just make decisions for themselves or kind of like collectively agree. Like, hey, let's stay away from blah 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 blah. No. They're children. They're babies. They can't make decisions by themselves. Okay, it's the exact same mentality when you say that this guy did something wrong by trying to talk Max up. Max is a grown man. He's a professional fighter. If he knows he doesn't need to go in or he's not going to go in, okay, a little pep talk from his coach who he's lived with for the last 2 years ain't going to do it, okay? So shut up. And that's the other thing. He lived with the coach. The coach and him have lived together for 2 years, dude. Do you understand how different that makes things, all right? It's not just some coach and some random student. I mean, obviously, that's very rare where there would be a coach and a random student. Like, coach, fighter relationship is a tight one, built in battle, right? Hours and hours and hours and hours every week, training together, learning, etc., right? You feel protective of your fighter. The reason why he's trying to talk him in, you think, that's the other thing. Do you think that, what's Drysdale's motivation? Think about that, okay? So if you're going to attribute malice to him trying to get him to continue fighting, what's his motivation, right? To have malice, to have some kind of underhanded intention, why? You have to have a reason, right? What's his reasoning? Because does he get a big bonus if his fighter goes in there and gets the shit kicked out of him? Like, there's some kind of incentive for him there? Or is he an undefeated mixed martial artist, right, himself, and his student is an undefeated mixed martial artist, and he's sitting on the chair saying, I'm going to take the loss. And to you, as an undefeated fighter, and with him, an unblemished record, you're like, you don't even want to try? You don't even want to go out there and try to win this fight? Like, you don't even want to try? You're going to just take the loss sitting on your stool? Okay? Like, if you can't understand why he would be saying, like, no, man, you can do it. Protect your undefeated record. If you can't understand that, then you don't understand people, okay? Because let's talk about some other people, right? That's what you guys come to this channel for, right? For me to break down people. For me to Sigmund Freud all these motherfuckers, because I can see what is happening there where other people can't for some reason. I am clairvoyant or something, or maybe I just read people's faces. I don't know. Or it's just common sense, like in the example I'm about to give like this, okay? So Anthony Smith is the only fighter who came out and said that Drysdale did something wrong, right? Straight up. And he said, straight up, Drysdale did something wrong. Now, riddle me this, okay? Before I say it, why does Anthony Smith's opinion on this not matter at all? And when you actually examine it, he can't have an opinion because he's right in the center of this thing, right? Okay. Did you guys come up with an answer? Because here's the answer. He just had a gigantic corner scandal, right? Or not scandal, but he got, his corner took a bunch of flack for not throwing in the towel when he was getting his teeth knocked out by Glover Teixeira. That was a gnarly fight, right? And they didn't throw in the towel, which everybody was like, how did he go out there in that last round? Okay? And he said, my corner knows they are never allowed to throw in the towel for me, so don't be giving flack to my corner. I respected that a lot about listen, like, it's possible that they have that agreement. It's possible that he said, if you ever throw in the towel, that you're not my coach anymore. But I think equally likely is he saw his people taking shit, and so he got out in front of it and wore it. I have a lot of respect for that. I really like Anthony Smith, for the record, before I get into this. But his position is this. They didn't throw in the towel because I didn't tell them that I was going to quit, and that's the only way that they were going to throw in the towel. So he's emotionally invested in this corner throw in the towel conversation. So when Max says, I don't want to go out, and the coaches try to talk him into it, that directly contradicts what his position was when he's talking about why it was okay that his corner didn't throw in the towel, right? So, again, like, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just saying it's just black and white, cut and dry. That's why he's the only professional fighter that disagrees with Ariel and his other baby friend, okay? So, yeah, I mean, listen, here's the other thing. It's not a blood sport. Again, it's not a blood sport, right? Like, there are plenty of contact sports, i.e. football, rugby, etc. Like, yeah, you're getting punched, of course. But, like, you're not... Anyway, I don't know. Like, now I'm just... Never mind. We'll leave it there. I think I've made my point that Ariel is a baby, and his opinion on this is stupid. And I think that he cultivated that Nevada State Athletic Commission inquiry. I just do. I mean, it's an accusation that I certainly will say I'm not going to stand behind because I don't know. I find it very curious that he said that he called them, and then now there's an investigation. Like, what would there need to be an investigation about? There's a video of it. It's on video. There's no investigate what? Like, oh, well, we're going to watch the video, and then we're going to have a conversation. Big investigation. We're going to watch the video, and then we're going to say what we think. And then maybe we're going to pass a rule that says that if a fighter says, I'm done, then that automatically means they're done. That's their prerogative to do. But that wasn't the rule then. And I think that we've gone over why, the hate on the corner is completely misplaced, all right? So let's talk about Masvidal defending the BMF belt. So, like, sometimes, I just kind of cruise other MMA channels, just, looking for anybody talking about something interesting. And so I'm like, oh, let me weigh in on that, right? And Chael, or Shale. I've been calling him Shale because I think it's funny to mispronounce his name on purpose. People broke my balls enough. Chael Sonnen said that Masvidal needs to defend the BMF belt. I love that. I love that. Like, I think that Chael has a really sharp viewpoint of, like, it's almost that his viewpoint on the BMF belt almost demonstrates his view on the belt in general, right? It's like, what is the belt, right? Like, what's the championship belt, right? I mean, there's all these guys who are, like, fighting all the time, right? Like, it's like, people fighting constantly. What does the belt actually mean? It just means that, in a lineage fashion, they're passing down who holds the belt. Does it mean they're the best fighter in the division? No. Does it? I mean, in some cases, but that's why guys who win the belt and then defend over and over and over and over and over, those are champions, okay? Anyone can win the belt. That's the thing that people don't get. It's like, dude, Michael Bisping, I'm sorry. I love Bisping. I love Bisping, okay? Not like the way where I give Ariel respect for, working hard, before I shit on his opinion and say that he's unqualified to have it. But Bisping is about as boss as anyone has ever been in the UFC. I challenge you guys to go watch, I'm going to actually look it up because it's that good. There's a Michael Bisping documentary on on YouTube, the UFC YouTube. I think it's called My Inspiration. And it's one of those ones that I just randomly put on. My Destiny. So Michael Bisping, My Destiny. This right here. This is so sick, dude. So sick. Watch it. Trust me. Watch it. It's like, if you guys watch, obviously you guys watch Mixed Molly stuff. If you like Mixed Molly stuff, you are gonna like this. Because this is just like that. Where it's like, here he is, dude. From Jump Street all the way to current. It's fucking awesome. Or not to current. He was before one of his last fights. Anyway, but Michael Bisping won the welterweight championship, right? Middleweight championship. Like, Michael Bisping was the champion, while Whitaker, Yoel Romero, mostly those guys. There was a lineup of killers in that division, and I want to say actually that Bisping showed how classy and how, no, not classy, not classy. I am fumbling through this section in case you guys haven't noticed. Hopefully you guys know that it's worth bearing with me. But Bisping approached being champion like a businessman, like a very smart businessman. He looked at it like so when you're the belt holder, you are getting pay-per-view points, right? The difference in pay is astronomical. So if you have a family like Bisping or like me, okay, yeah, it's great. The glory of winning is very important, of course. But this is about money, okay? It's about money. Like for me, I have 175,000 followers on TikTok. Zippity doo-dah, okay? Why am I on YouTube? Why am I building my YouTube? If I had 173,000 subscribers on YouTube, or I will, that's money, okay? You make money doing that. I mean, I don't think there's any reason for me to, hide behind that. Obviously, I love doing this, and I would do it in either way. But the reason that YouTube is the medium that I focus all my energy on is because you can monetize it, right? So Bisping has the belt. He has the option to fight Dan Henderson or fight Yoel Romero. He takes Dan Henderson because A, he wants to get that loss back, but B, it's a way easier fight, obviously. And he's got his eyes on George St. Pierre. So he wins against Dan Henderson and somehow pulls a rabbit out of his hat, and he gets George St. Pierre while holding the belt. Do you know how much money he probably made for that fight? I mean, seriously, like, how many pay-per-views did that one do? Like, look that up. Bisping crushed it, dude. And that was one of his last fights. He probably, I'm not going to speculate. He's definitely seven figures. I mean, definitely seven figures. And then he got greedy and he went and took that short notice Gastelum fight after. I mean, he did that so fast after the GSP fight, where it was like, damn, he got banged up in that GSP fight. What the hell is he doing? I remember when he took that fight, I was like, what is he doing? Like, and I know now in hindsight, after watching My Destiny, the reason he did it is because his best performance ever against Luke Rockhold, he took that on 2 weeks' notice. Okay, he felt like he was getting set up to fail. He didn't have proper time to train for the hardest opponent he's ever faced, and he's already lost to. And he goes in on 2 weeks' notice, and he knocks out Rockhold with a left hook, which subsequently everybody else that Rockhold fought for the rest of his career knocked him out with the same punch. But yeah, I mean, so that's why he took that Gastelum fight, and Jesus, that was one of the gnarliest knockouts I've ever seen. You actually could hear what sounded like his teeth chatter together, right? Like Gastelum hit his jaw so hard that it literally sounded like Bisping's teeth smacked together. It was a gnarly ass knockout. But I mean, probably made another $500,000 for that fight, right? It's like that's the thing, when you get a big check like that, you would think that makes you want to sit on your hands. It's like, oh, I'm good now. It's the opposite. It's the exact opposite. Okay, you get a lot of dough, and then someone gives you an opportunity to make more dough to pile on top of it. You're gonna do that shit because, like, how do I explain this? If you've never had money, then you have no idea what it even means to have money, right? It's like you get like if you've never had enough money where you literally couldn't spend it like in a short period of time without being radically irresponsible, okay? Then you don't really understand what it feels like to have money in the bank, like to have real money in the bank. And because when you're broke, money comes in, you spend it. Money comes in, you spend it. Like, your check to check, whatever. When you get money in the bank, like real money, dude, you want to protect that. You like this, the feeling that it gives you just being there in the bank is better than anything you could buy, right? It's better than anything you could buy. And so if you're looking at a big number, so let's say he ended up with $4 million in the bank, right? He's looking at that number and he's facing potential retirement, right? And he wants to protect that 4 million number. So he gets an opportunity to go in and fight for another 500K. And what he sees is like, okay, that's going to protect this number, that this 4 million is going to stay right where it is. I'll add a little bit on, but it's insurance to make sure I don't drop below this threshold, which has now become an arbitrary threshold where I feel comfortable about my finances and how, where I'm at. So he takes it super fast, gets his fucking head blown off, and that's all she wrote for his career. But getting back to the belt, longest tangent ever. the belt gets passed around, right? It's like, you know, this guy beat this guy, this guy beat this guy. When someone actually defends it over and over and over, like John Jones, Anderson Silva, GSP, Jose Aldo, Amanda Nunes, right? Stipe Miocic for a while. That's a different ballgame, right? That's a champion. Winning the belt, like Kamaru Usman's a champion, but he's not a champion like those guys, right? I mean, he's just straight up, he's not, because he hasn't cleared out the division yet. And I've said this before, and I know that you guys are going to take it all personal, but because anytime I say anything that even sounds critical of Khabib, I'm not being critical of Khabib at all. What I'm saying is that by that criteria, Khabib is not that level of champion yet because he has not cleared out the division. Okay, I'm not saying he's not as good as those guys or as dominant as those guys in each individual fight. But GSP defended the belt like 12 to 15 times. Anderson Silva defended the belt like a million times. John Jones has been defending the belt for the last 100 years. Amanda Nunes defended the belt a ton of times, defended 2 belts a bunch of times, right? Khabib won the belt over Al Iaquinta, which was not even a title shot, really. It just was like, supposed to be Ferguson. Ferguson got injured, and Dana's like, okay, I have to get him the belt so that when Conor comes back, it's for the belt, right? So one way or the other, I got to give it to him. So okay, yeah, Al Iaquinta, it's a title. It's a title fight, right? So that doesn't even really count as winning the belt. But then he crushes Conor, and Conor technically was the belt holder, right? He vacated it to go fight Mayweather, but he had the belt. So when Khabib crushed Conor, that is actually when he became the champion for real. I mean, just by like standard kind of belt lineage, you know, that's when he became the champ. You know, they gave the belt to, or they gave an interim belt to Tony Ferguson and then just stripped him because he got injured. Up until Ferguson lost to Gaethje, there's certainly an argument that he was equally a champion as Khabib until Khabib beat Conor, at least, right? And yeah, I mean, so Khabib wins the belt when he beats Conor. He defends it against Dustin Poirier. No one has ever even taken a round off him except for the minuscule 3rd round that Conor got, which, I mean, that's a ticky-tack round that Khabib took off on purpose. I mean, he took that round off, relaxed, and then went in and smashed him in the 4th. But he still has to beat Gaethje. He actually has to beat Conor again, most likely, to truly like do it just because it's Conor. He has to beat Ferguson, and if Oliveira keeps winning, he's gonna have to beat Oliveira to like really clear the division out. He's got 4 fights, you know. And I'm not saying he's gonna lose any of those. Like I've said, I think Gaethje is the toughest matchup. I think he runs through everybody else. But anyway, Masvidal. The point I'm making though is that the belt is arbitrary, right? The belt is arbitrary. You get matched up with the toughest fights if you have the belt. But it's arbitrary, right? Masvidal has the BMF belt. Why would he not defend it? Like, why would that not be a fun additional belt? You know, and ultimately you can consolidate them when you have him fight for the title. But like, I mean, why not, right? Like, and you can select his opponents based on that. It's like, this is the BMF belt. And originally it was Nate Diaz and fucking Jorge Masvidal, who are both like, yeah, he's a gangster. He ain't no West Coast gangster. You know, and Masvidal, I don't think anybody's going to question his fucking street cred. He's never met a person he wouldn't punch in the face for looking at him sideways. And fucking, I love that shit about him. I love guys that carry it so real that like they can just like where people just take it for granted, right? Like to where like somebody can talk shit and he'll literally just light him up, right? Just light them up backstage, and people's response to that is not like, yo, man, that's not cool, dude. You can't just go off on a guy for no reason like that. For Masvidal, it's just like, well, motherfuckers better. They should know better. They should know better than to fucking, don't do this at Masvidal unless you want to get slapped up. It's hilarious. Like, I mean, I'm serious. Like, think about that incident with Leon Edwards, and then imagine it was like, I don't know, like Chad Mendes, right? Say Chad Mendes was backstage after a fight, and whoever, some other fighter, Peter Yan, after was like, yeah, I'm gonna see you next time. And Chad Mendes just rolled up on him and just threw, 3 or 4 bare-fisted punches into his face. Like, he would get in trouble. And at the very least, there would be a bunch of, like, commentary, around the areas that are like, that's not cool, dude. That is not cool. Backstage, throw it out bare-fisted like that is not cool. Masvidal, everybody's like, Edwards should know better than to run his mouth, dog. I mean, just straight up. But, damn, that's who he should defend against. Masvidal defends the BMF belt against Leon Edwards. I mean, Leon Edwards isn't necessarily in the same league with the branding, but Masvidal pieced him up backstage, man. Masvidal pieced him up. And Leon Edwards, he's a tough bastard. He's a tough bastard. He's got one excellent punch, which is his cross. His cross is excellent. Excellent. But it's a single punch. I mean, he has a great left hook to the body too. He's got a great left hook to the body, and he's got a great right cross. But aside from those 2 punches, I don't think he's gonna have a whole lot for Masvidal. So yeah, I mean, I think Masvidal will win that fight easily. But well, I don't know about easily, but he'll win. So yeah, maybe that fight. Maybe that fight. There was something else I wanted to talk about. What happened to my stuff? I had them all written down and now they're gone. No. All right, the last thing I was going to talk about was Conor McGregor's picture, okay? That picture doesn't look good. Again, you know what? This is a non-segment. I don't even know why I'm bringing this up, okay? He just looks kind of skinny. Like, he looked a little bit sucked in. And I get concerned about people who have the devil in them, like me. And someone like that who has no... Let me actually just start this over, and I'll probably edit this together. So the last thing I want to talk about is this picture of Conor McGregor, all right? So I'm probably making a lot about nothing because it's one photograph. Like, who knows? But I looked at that picture, and at the very... You know what? Maybe it's not even the picture. Just the picture made me think about why I'm concerned about Conor in general, being that I really want him to keep his shit together, come back and fight, fight at absolutely peak performance, right? I want to see him fight Gaethje, and I want to see him fight Khabib at peak performance, right? And I get concerned about that because he's got the devil in him, right? Like, he's got the devil in him. And I don't mean the devil like, not the devil that makes him do things to other people. The devil that makes him do things himself, okay? And this is a character I am very familiar with, okay? And for those of you guys who do not live with the demon inside of you, it is not dissimilar from an internal conversation that is happening a lot. And I'm not talking about, like, again, this is mostly not shit that's gonna affect other people, right? Like, no, I'm not talking like, the demon's like, hey, it's not like a Harvey Weinstein demon. It's like, hey, maybe you should see what she's wearing under her skirt. Maybe if you tell her that you're gonna destroy her career, she'll take her shirt off and show you what she's working with, huh? I don't know. That's a demon I am very glad I do not have. Because, if I want to see what the girl's rolling, I'll roll up and be like, hey girl, I think you're pretty. I think that you... This is going nowhere. That joke was going nowhere. The point was, I'm charming, okay? I'm not a creep. But the demon that we are talking about is the one that's like, it's just today, man. Like, you're bored. Like, you're bored. Don't get all caught up. It's not a slippery slope. It's just one day. What are we worried about? You have all the money in the world, and we got sober for we were down a rabbit hole, and when we needed to get it together for Cowboy, we just got it together. We can do it again, but that's not gonna happen anyway. This is just one day. It's just one day. Let's have a couple drinks. Yeah, let's call up Johnny. Let's get a quarter. Or no, let's just get a gram of blow. Like, because we don't want to give ourselves enough to where we can get in trouble. Like, so just like a gram of blow, some proper 12, and because it's really, I'm bored. I've got $250 million in the bank. There's no scenario where my life really falls apart. I have too much money. I fixed the problem when the business was suffering, but yeah, I mean, this is not going to be like last time. This is not going to be like the other times. I can just do this. I can just do this one line. I can just have this one drink. It'll be fine. Like, you'll be fine. That demon, okay? The fucking most insidious goddamn demon ever. Because all those things are always lies. And you know it. And the conversation sounds like this, right? No. This is just one night. Okay, how many times have I fallen for that before? I mean, I don't know about falling for anything. I'm just telling you, like, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. We're bored. Like, you know you're bored. I am bored out of my mind, but come on, man. Just this once. Like, just this once. Dude, I'm an adult. You know how many times I've done just this once and then looked at myself 3 months later, like, why didn't I listen to the last 25 times that I fell for that and not end up where I am now, where I have to, like, detox and shit? Like, why didn't I listen? That's not gonna happen, man. It's not gonna happen. And that wasn't that bad anyway. Was that really that bad? Was that actually that bad? Come on, man. You know, we got right back where we were. Now we just, it's, you know, now we're bored, man. Don't think about 3 months from now. Think about tonight. Think about tonight. How bored are you right now? How bored are you? Let's just do it. Let's do it, you know? Insidious demon. Because every time that you say, all right, fuck it, it's just tonight. No, it's not. So Conor has that demon, I would imagine. And he's home, quarantined, by himself, nothing to lose. I get concerned. I get concerned that his demon's going to talk him into, you know, just this one. Just this one. Just this one. Just that one, you're derailed into the fucking ocean. So I hope that he is able to stay. And listen, here's the other thing. I don't have any, like, I don't have any idea if he really is, you know, doing blow or I'm sorry, was doing blow. I would make a calculated guess that is a drug that he's not disfamiliar with. Unfamiliar with. Maybe I should do some blow so I could actually speak English. But I genuinely hope for the best for him. I really want him to do well. He's an inspiring character, and I love watching him fight, and I really want to see what he's got at his best. So anyway, that is what I got. If you like the channel, subscribe and ring the bell. And if you don't, I don't know. I don't know. Why'd you watch this long, then? I mean, if you watch this long, the least you could do is subscribe to the channel, all right? It's the least you could do. I'm not charging anybody any money. I'm just doing this because I want that YouTube algorithm money, those pay-per-clicks. You know how much dough I made on one of those videos last week? $1.50. Boom. What's up? What's up? Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for the support, and we will be around soon. I will do another video tomorrow, as promised, and that'll be that. Love you guys.